Okay, good news for the conservatives. I've been hearing a lot of positive stories lately, and I hope you watch Dr. Turley. We all love Dr. Turley because he's such a positive influence for the news and discussing and how the hopeful future we have. So make sure you're subscribed to Dr. Turley. Anyway, I have been seeing different stories now talking about how the Amish are going to take over the world. So yes, the Amish are going to take over America anyway. And that's a good thing, because America needs more honest, hard-working people. And we need less of these loony lefties. We could go on forever about them. But anyway, so that's a positive thing. And now also, Dr. Turley also stated that, well, there's a lot of, the Mormons are growing too. Of course, well, Christians, of course, we don't know what the Amish believe. I don't know if we quite agree with all their beliefs, and don't quite agree with all the Mormon beliefs. But the point that Dr. Turley is trying to make is that the Amish are traditionalists and the Mormons are more traditionalists. So and aside from that, the regular conservative traditionalists, Christians, are, having large families. Most everybody I know has 4 or 5 kids apiece, and even the ones who are not religious do. So the things are looking up for conservatives. I said, of course, the left is trying hard to ruin everything before the younger generation gets a chance. I said, fortunately, Generation Z is coming up on the heels of us millennials, and they will be able to vote in the 2020 election, so that should go down very well for President Trump. And hopefully everything else. And hopefully Generation Z will also break the last hold that the left has over like the Congress and some of these other municipalities underneath. Because we got to also break the left's hold on the courts system and make it fair. And I said, we got to start holding the left to account. Got to hold them to account. So, now while it's positive that there's a great explosion of conservative traditionalist families growing all the time, so that's great news for America. But like I said, we're still facing the battle in front of us. And these leftists, even though they might, eventually die out in the next 20, 30 years, because remember, leftists aren't having kids, and if they do, they're only having like 1, 2 at the most, and they are the ones who like abortion. So the leftists are essentially going to become extinct. And that's why, but it's going to take 20 or 30 years at least, and we still have to work hard. We're not going to sit back and relax. Because the left right now they know their numbers are dwindling, and they're working hard at trying to recruit. They think they're going to recruit with the immigrants. They think they're going to the schools to recruit the children, going to the colleges. But I think most conservative Christians know that they need to send their kids to conservative Christian schools or homeschool. We need to keep them away from the terrible leftists and their indoctrination, socialism, communism, all that stuff. So yes, the left is fighting on the educational field, and they're fighting on the immigration field to help replace their dwindling numbers due to, abortion and just their general dislike for kids. But, so it's up to us. We need to think, what can we do on the home front? We're not all politicians, we're not all activists, we're on the home front. Well, obviously the first thing we do is we speak up. We start, making some noise, even in your local communities. Stand up for what's right. And we need to, like I said, be careful of our kids, make sure our kids get good Christian education, and avoid the leftist indoctrination. And we also need to start businesses. We need to start businesses to counter the left. You see them all the time shutting down conservatives on the basis of fake news and 1 or 2 poison pen letters from anonymous activists. My goodness, if that's enough to scare a big company, then they need to resign. We need to get some people who don't scare quite so easily. These companies ought to require the verified name, address, and phone number of all these activists that complain to verify who they are before they act on their complaints. And that will deter them, definitely. So we need better companies, companies that are not cowards. Like I said, we have our choices right now as the left is trying to cut us off. Our choices are to fight fire with fire. I don't really see most conservatives doing that, because that would require we have to be as mean and nasty to them as they are to us. And most conservatives don't, just because, you know, we're mostly Christian and don't want to be mean and hateful to them as they are to us. So that's probably not going to happen. I mean, then there's segregation, which is political segregation, which is probably, which to some extent, it may work to some extent, because obviously people boycott companies that are liberal or conservative depending on their political affiliations. So, I mean, the segregation, I don't know about that. And then also, but finally, we need to fight on the legal field. Come on, people. I bet conservatives and Christians do not press charges, do not report the crimes the left does to them, because they're trying to turn the other cheek, they're being nice, they have faith in humanity. But guys, this is what the left is using to take away our freedoms, to destroy us. And this is where we've got to fight them. We've got to fight them on the legal field, because that's where they are fighting us. And if we just back off, back down, they're going to just run right over us, as they have been doing. And we need a backup for ourselves. We need backup companies. We need to make sure there's at least one alternative conservative company to every company that the leftists are banning us from. And we need to make sure we got banks and alternative web hosts, alternative browsers. I know there's people out there that are richer than I that can make this happen. If I become rich someday, I'll make some too. But we need to have alternatives. So when the left cuts us off, people have a place to go. We need to be ready. It's part of survival. It's just what we got to do. And we cannot be neutral. We cannot sit on the fence and be lazy, because this is our future, this is our freedom, and we've got to fight. We cannot be cowards. Got to be brave and bold. And like I said, just like the case with Nick Sandmann, he knows he's doing it right. He's suing the pants off those newspapers that defamed him. He looks like a mild little kid, but he's suing them, he's going after them. And that's what we need to do, conservatives and Christians. It's not a matter of turning the other cheek when it comes to our freedoms, okay? When it comes to freedom, we've got to fight back. So these are things we can do on the home front. Said, make sure we have the kids are educated, good Christian education. Make sure we start businesses. We have alternatives out there, and just get out the word, spread the word, fight for what's right where we can, and we will win. We will win over the left. God bless. Let freedom ring.